Let's revisit a question that all Jehovah's Witnesses asked themselves in 2021. What could have possibly driven the governing body to take anti-Christian measures? I remind you that until April 2021, each person's conscience was respected regarding medical treatment, and from July 2021, conscience had disappeared. It was necessary to accept the medical treatment promoted by the governing body, in other words, the vaccine. The elders were even ordered not to speak ill of this treatment. They had received this communication, which I am showing you, and it stated, "The elders must ensure not to express personal opinions that go against the instructions of the higher authorities." That's freedom of speech, right? If an elder has this attitude, he must stop immediately. Imagine the intensity of the pressure in that communication. Otherwise, he could be guilty of causing divisions in the congregation. What did that mean? It meant you're an elder. You keep quiet, you don't talk about the vaccine. Otherwise, you're excommunicated, plain and simple. 2 testimonies in English posted on the site, adverseeventsjw.org, help us understand what might have happened. You can find them in the description of this video. Jehovah's Witnesses are managed by non-profit organizations. In the United States, they have the 501c3 status. This status exempts them from paying income tax. These organizations had the opportunity to benefit from the aid that the state allocated to deal with the COVID crisis. And Jehovah's Witnesses probably received 2 million euros in aid between the year 2020 and the year 2021. In September 2021, President Joe Biden announced a series of measures to combat the COVID-19 pandemic, including a vaccination mandate for employees of private companies with more than 100 people. And associations, like Jehovah's Witnesses, which are non-profit, are also considered private companies. This measure quickly sparked opposition from many states, businesses, and institutions. And on January 13, 2022, the Supreme Court removed the vaccination mandate for large companies. So the question is, did the governing body fear losing its non-profit status, and therefore having to pay up to $150 million a year in taxes? It's quite possible. If that's the case, then it has truly revealed itself. When a person lacks trust in God, especially in material matters, what do we usually say as Jehovah's Witnesses? Well, often we quote the passage from Malachi chapter 3 verse 10, which says, "Test me in this matter to see if I will not open the floodgates of heaven for you and pour out a blessing until you lack nothing." See, here the members of the governing body lacked trust in God. And furthermore, they imposed this vaccination requirement on witnesses worldwide, even though only local workers in the United States might have been affected. Well, some might say that the members of the governing body truly believed in this treatment. So why stop promoting it just when the United States Supreme Court makes its decision? It's curious, isn't it? Why wouldn't they have apologized after realizing that this treatment didn't work, but instead caused disasters? Listen carefully to what a member of the governing body, Jeffrey Winder, said in response to this question. "From that point, we are not embarrassed when there are changes, and we do not need to apologize for not having understood things correctly in the past." These words were truly a cold shower for all the victims of the vaccination campaigns. So, to summarize, they are afraid of losing money. They manipulated Jehovah's Witnesses worldwide into taking a medical treatment, the vaccine. They quickly realized they were wrong in January 2022, and a few months later they say, "We do not need to apologize." Worse, they tell us afterwards, "How can we refrain from giving health advice?" Again, Brother Jeffrey Winder speaks in a morning worship session. A few months later, well, I believe it's in 2024. He says this, "In this scenario, our friend confides in us. He shares a health problem he is facing. Let's say he is considering a medical treatment. Perhaps a vaccine. And he would like to have our opinion on the matter. How to be modest in this situation? Indeed. Of course, we truly sympathize with our friend. We want to do everything possible to help him. But here again, the fundamental principle of 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 6 applies, which is not to go beyond certain limits. In this kind of situation, Is it our role? Is it our role to give our opinion on health issues? The Watchtower said, "When faced with illness, it is up to each adult Christian to carry their own load, to take responsibility for the choice of a treatment." In other words, as the brother from the governing body tells us, you sympathize, but you don't say anything about the medical treatment, neither for nor against. But they really don't care about us. She completely identifies with the Pharisees when Jesus speaks of them, saying, "So do everything they tell you, but do not act like them, for they do not practice what they preach." After resigning as an elder, my wife and I stopped attending the meetings. We really felt complicit by continuing to be active in this religion. As a result, the elders from my congregation tried to contact us. The first time by SMS, I replied that I had no spiritual needs. The second time, an elder came to our house, and my wife led him to understand that he was participating in a crime against humanity. The third time, the elder sent me a text message, authoritatively stating that he would come by at a certain time with the coordinator. So then, I replied to him that it was the third time he was soliciting us despite our refusal. "We will not hesitate to use the law on harassment," I wrote to him. Article 222-33-22 of the Penal Code. If you persist in harming us. The next day, we each wrote a letter to the service committee of our congregation. This letter was a request for the deletion of our personal data and an objection to its processing. An objection to its processing, that's an important point. The former robots, of course, sought advice from the subsidiary, and within a month complied by responding to us, listing all our personal data. We received a letter from each local or national association holding our data. So, as a former member, I received 5. My wife received 2, one from the local association, and 1 from the National Association, the Religious Association of Jehovah's Witnesses of France, which is based in Boulogne-Billancourt. The letter specified that the association had the right to retain our data and that we could file a complaint with the CNIL. That's what we did. We filed a complaint with the CNIL. Since then, the CNIL has been examining the legal justifications of the association. This means that the CNIL contacted the branch, which probably didn't please them. But importantly, no one has contacted us for more than 2 years now. So you will find in the video description a document that explains how to request the deletion of your data in France and file a complaint with the CNIL. So I have detailed the online procedure to properly file this complaint, so feel free to use it and do it. I remind you of the excommunication procedure that former members must follow. First of all, a reason is needed. Generally, they find one quite easily. If, for example, one criticizes their religion like I do, they can accuse us of causing divisions. I reproduce here the parts from the Elders' book, Shepherd, the flock of God. Then, the elders should preferably contact the person orally, so as not to leave any traces. If, like me, you don't see the elders because you don't attend the meeting, this will be impossible. They will then try to call you. In that case, do not answer. They will try to send you a registered letter. Do not accept it. The problem is that I oppose the processing of my data. So even if they kept my personal data, they won't be able to use it to send me a letter. And it works well because for 2 years I haven't received anything. And if I ever receive a registered letter, I will refuse it. The excommunication process will not be able to be completed. If, on the other hand, you continue to attend Jehovah's Witness meetings and you tell the elders that you categorically refuse to meet with the Religious Disciplinary Committee, then they can excommunicate you. In this case, the only solution to avoid excommunication is to tell them that you will come with your lawyer. And then they will back down. It's written in the Elders' book. So, I know that many want to express their dissatisfaction towards all those who collaborated. I'm not talking about a spirit of revenge, but we all need to express our dissatisfaction. Well, you can do it, kindly, but categorically. Just say no, quite simply. How? Whether you have been a Jehovah's Witness, disfellowshipped or not. Whether it was recent or a long time ago. Whether you are still a Jehovah's Witness, whether you attend meetings or not. Here are the steps you can take, and it's not just related to vaccination. Know that even if you were disfellowshipped, maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, the Jehovah's Witnesses, Religious Association of France, for France, has your data, so you can still do this. It holds your data. The association holds your data, and also holds the information that you were disfellowshipped on such and such a day. So first thing, stop transmitting personal data through offerings, through the preaching report, etc. And at the same time, write a letter requesting the deletion of your personal data and objecting to its processing to the service committee of your congregation. You do it right away, because if you don't submit your preaching report immediately, an elder will contact you. If he asks you, "But why are you making this deletion request?" you say, "It's my right, quite simply. I don't want you to use my data for processing." If you live in a country other than France, ask an artificial intelligence to guide you on how to proceed. After receiving the response from the association or associations, file a complaint on the CNIL website as instructed. If you live in another country, make the request to the administration that manages personal data. So I have made a detailed document as well as a demonstration video for you. You will find it in the description of this video. All of this is free. You are within your rights. So you will not be excommunicated for this if you have not already been excommunicated. After that, if they ever use your data, think of the couple from Brazil who, after opposing the use of their personal data, sued each elder who decided to announce their excommunication publicly at the Kingdom Hall. So they were excommunicated, but they had written, "Our personal data, you do not disclose it publicly." They did it. They ignored their request. And this case is very recent, and the couple won. So, do not think you are powerless. We have tools to defend ourselves. If we start off defeated, we will achieve nothing. Many people tell me, "It won't do any good. You are so small compared to a giant." No, we are not the criminals. We need to turn the situation around. We have nothing to be ashamed of. Believe me, if we are even just 100 per country doing this, we will really bother the Central Committee. And not just them, by the way, all the other little leaders too. You will not be excommunicated if you do this, and you will no longer be afraid to say what you think. You will thus maintain your family relationships, provided that your family members still want to associate with you, of course, but they will not be able to be threatened by the elders because they associate with you. I am often asked, why don't you send a letter of withdrawal? I chose this religion because it suited me. Have I sinned since? No. It turns out that the managers of this religion, the governing body and the like, have sinned and tried to violate my conscience. It's not up to me to leave, but up to them. I'll give an example. I was born in France. I appreciate this country and I wish to stay here. It's not because the President of France has publicly decided to annoy me, quoting his words, that I will leave my country. I will stay and oppose my president. That's why I joined a common complaint against the President of the Republic, for his insulting remarks made against unvaccinated people like me. Whether these steps succeed or not, it's not my problem. I do it because I have to, quite simply. I deeply feel these words of Martin Luther King, "A man dies when he refuses to stand up for what is right. A man dies when he refuses to fight for justice. A man dies when he refuses to take a stand for what is true." And to make it clear to them that we are not fooled by their sins, I want to summon each member of the governing body. At the time, there were 8, to a religious disciplinary committee. even if there is little chance of a hearing taking place. I'm appealing to you. We need to be 3 to 5 witnesses, preferably former elders. Contact me privately if you are willing. My email is brother.messagemail.com without an accent. We will write to each member of the governing body a summons letter with acknowledgement of receipt, strictly following the instructions of the Elders' Book. Thus, they will have the joy of experiencing what it's like to be summoned to a religious disciplinary committee. If they ever accept, we will inform them accordingly, of course. You might be wondering what reason for excommunication we could write. Well, just look at this paragraph from the Elders' Book. Homicide. Well, yes, it's not often that the elders have to deal with such an offense. It says, one could also be guilty of shedding blood if one caused someone's death through negligence. So we can give them the benefit of the doubt and tell them that you mean well. You advised the vaccine and people died. Well, those are homicides. In fact, what is really more likely is, oops, we wanted to keep our money and tens of thousands of Jehovah's Witnesses died. Well, for this summons, we need testimonies that following the advice given by the governing body resulted in a death. We already have some on the site Effets Indesirables GWFA, but you can submit yours if you haven't already done so. You see, this is also something you can do. We can all act at our own level. And next week I will finally talk about my criminal complaint and what each person can do by using the justice system of their country.